Hey guys, how are you all doing? Just wanted to make a quick video covering the market update at the moment because there's a lot going on the charts right now. We are setting up for a potential local high at the moment. Given we're coming into the end of May as well, that seasonality is typically a pretty good time to sell. If you've been in markets for a while, you should know the old adage, sell in May and go away. They say that for a very good reason. That's because June, July, August, and September are usually some of the worst months on record for the year, and we usually see a really nice turnaround in October. So we're going to have a quick look at what I'm seeing on the charts right now and why I've actually sold some of my positions and taken profit on others. So let's quickly jump in. All right, so this is the main reason why I'm getting a little bit more bearish on the market right now. We can see that we had the really nice swing failure pattern down the bottom here at the start of April and the breakout of that falling wedge, and we have hit targets for that, taking out the previous all-time highs, but we haven't been able to hold that level and rejected from it, and then basically had an inside break of the previous all-time high, right? If we go up and we get a clean level up here, right, it couldn't reclaim, tried to get out a little bit here and then failed. But the more important thing is that this support trend line has failed to hold, and we've actually had a backside retest of that. That is one of the exit signals we teach in Market Mastery 3 to watch out for when the market is flipping into a more of a bearish stance. And I have sold a couple of my altcoins and I sold a couple of Bitcoin because we had this set up here last night and it's starting to follow through. We had a nice candle, this pin bar candle here on the 4-hour. That was actually a nice setup, to be honest. But because the market's bearish, the next 4 hours has just been rolling over. So if we were strong, that would already be back up here and we'd be recovering, and we would be recovering this range low through here. So until we reclaim this range low, which is pretty much this area all through here, until we reclaim that level, you have to look at the market as if it is in more of a bearish stance right now. And because we have, put in the high here, lower high, and then broken that on the 4-hour time frame, we're actually into a downtrend now. So we just need to be careful that we're flipped into a downtrend. That's a market structure shift to the downside. Until we reclaim that, then that's just a manipulation below the range low, and then you got a range low reclaim, which actually would be really bullish, and then I'd be looking for a run to our macro fib target of 137 if that did happen. But at the moment, just got to look at this as bearish and expect that we're going to come down to maybe 100k, or retest some of the lows down here would make a fair bit more sense, and just sweep some of these lows, cause a bit of a manipulation to the downside, a bit of a panic sell. We'll get the 4-hour completely oversold, and the daily time frame gets to reset a little bit. That would make a lot of sense, because this just looks like one bull flag through here, to be honest. Like, prices come up, and then, a lot of time you see this and it comes back down, sweeps this low, and then we go back up and we'll flag here, and then it will take off from there. So it's kind of getting like the daily time frame reset. Now, I am just a little bit concerned seasonality wise. Just want to quickly jump in here and show you what I've been talking about to some of my community in here, and talking about the seasonality. Now, a lot of the time, we do have that old adage, sell in May and go away, which didn't really make sense for, from 2014 to 2017, a pretty nice run here actually in July. Even 2019 had a really solid June, I should say, as well. But if you look at it, what is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the last 7 Junes have been pretty nasty, especially the one in 2022. That was a bear market year though. So we have to compare more to the year 2021, which was still a minus 6%. And then the year of 2017, because those are the 2 years that are closest to the actual halving cycle year that we're in, because we're in the last stage of the halving cycle. So we might have a nice June, considering we kind of had a big pullback in February. The market's kind of been flat since December. We were at these prices in December. So, the market has just been kind of going sideways for a long time now. We had that big sell-off, and yes, we had a nice recovery of a 46% recovery from that. But we're at these prices in 17th of December. So, it's not like we're in new prices. The market's been going pretty much flat sideways for 165 days now. So I I do think that there is a lot more potential for us to have a good June, but we might need to have a little bit of a sell-off first. If we go and look at the weekly time frame, we are setting up for a weekly shooting star reversal here at the moment, which isn't a good sign. So we could see a bit of a pullback first. I just want to be careful here that we don't see a rollover and really give back a lot of these gains that we made. Potentially we need to come back and fill some of this imbalance through here, or even come back and fill some of the imbalance from 86k. But it's hard to tell until we actually see the price action play out and where we start to see buying support kick back in. But we can't give up the fact that we're above the developing yearly value area high, and I could easily see us coming back down, just spiking some of these lows through here, and then we end up holding the developing yearly value area high, bounce off that. That gives a chance for the daily RSI to reset. We get our cipher resetting, our stock gets a full reset, and then maybe we go sideways for a little bit here, like this, and it flags out and then goes again. What we will need to look for though is that higher low to get put in at some point, and that'll give us a really good signal that we're getting ready to return to an uptrend. But right now you can't say that this is anything other than a bearish setup at the moment, because we've had the deviation above the previous all-time high. We've had bearish divergences up through here. So this is that deviation above the all-time high, and then we rejected. Look at these wicks through here. We rejected there, and now we're rolling over. So it would make sense we sweep to the other side of the range and take out some of these wicks through here. There's a bunch of wicks through there. I think there's probably a lot of people with the stop losses and liquidation points underneath those levels. So it makes sense to come down, spike that, and then head back up. So let's see where the buying support starts to kick back in. That's really going to be key here. But I am expecting some sort of support and bulls to start looking for entries back after a deviation of these wicks here, after a lot of people have been stopped out. So we're looking for swing failure patterns. Remember, a big part of our strategy is that we're waiting for people to be forced to trade. We're waiting for people to be forced out of their positions by being stopped out or being liquidated. And then when that happens, that's usually the best time to get in for a trade in the opposite direction. So we're just waiting for that big liquidation spike, volume to spike up, big drop off in open interest, all that sort of stuff. You see it everywhere. Oh, biggest one day liquidation event in crypto history, blah, blah, blah. It happens all the time. So we see something like that. That's usually in a big wick to the downside. That's usually a great opportunity for us to get in, especially if that happens on top of the value area high. Now, if that fails, the value area high fails to hold, then we're looking for a rotation and a bounce off the developing yearly VWAP. And then that will probably be a longer correction throughout our seasonality period of, June, July, August, etc., etc. I would much rather us have, a little bit of a pullback here, a bit of a flatter June, and then we pump towards the end of June, and that takes us up to 137 target for our macro fib. And then we have a pullback from there, which goes for July, August, September, and then October, November, December takeoff into the all-time highs. So something to think about anyway, guys. I think it's a really good spot to just consider playing a little bit more defensive here. If we go and have a look at all of our, Ethereum actually looks a lot stronger than Bitcoin, to be honest. But it needs to hold this uptrend through here and form an ascending triangle and eventually break out, right? Which is not going to happen if Bitcoin continues to stay bearish. It will eventually drag Ethereum down. We'll break this trend support here. Like Bitcoin's just broken its trend support, and it won't be that pretty, that's for sure. Let's jump into some altcoins so quickly. Solana, what's happening here? I'm just going to zoom in a little bit more. Excuse me. Really kind of struggled here. If we go back onto the daily time frame, this candle here kind of put a bit of a top in on, what was it, the 23rd of May, a bit nasty, and it's just rubbish price action since then. One of the things I pointed out to the community, we had a bit of a spike and things that started to turn here, and then look at what happened here. We had a bear flag that started playing out, right? So that's always a bad sign when you go from, say, this is a falling wedge that played out, but, we hit the target, which is this point here, right? That's the target of the falling wedge. And then it SFP'd and failed to continue its momentum to the upside. We have now spiked this low, not completely, this hasn't been completely swept. So we have to see what happens after it sweeps this range low here. But we've gone from, major reversal here, and bull flags playing out. Really nice bull flag playing out. And then we had a really nice, attempted another bull flag on this falling wedge, and it's just gone nowhere, which is a bit disappointing. And then we've had a reversal here into a rising wedge, which is a bearish setup that then confirmed. And then you had the breakdown there, backside retest of the rising wedge along with the VWAP through here as well, and then rejecting off VWAP, and the backside of that rising wedge is nasty and then rolling over. So gonna have to see how it goes when it interacts with basically 159, which is this wick low here. See if we can get a reversal or something like that off there. It is starting to get pretty oversold on the 4 hour, so we have to see if the 4 hour is going to be strong enough to hold it. If not, this range high here and the previous year's VWAP could be a good level for a support and resistance flip. So, I'd love to see a wick down, tag this level through here, and then it closed back above this wick here would be really nice for a reversal setup. Otherwise, if that fails to hold, then yeah, 127 would be probably what we're looking for. And then let's go and take a quick look at SUI. This played out perfectly. I took the trade as we reclaimed value area low. Probably held on to it for a little bit too long. I did manage to fully hedge back through here, so I might just close that trade out and take it off the table soon. I really want to give it a little bit of a chance and just leave the hedges on, because if we do get a really nice reaction from the VWAP here, alongside Bitcoin having a good response soon to some key levels, potentially just take off that hedge and let it grind back up and then close it a bit higher, maybe at the value area high or something like that. So this trade probably should have already been closed for me, to be honest, because that was a really nice break here. And then when we rejected off here, we rejected off 1, 2, 3, 4 times off the value area high. I probably should have taken that after this last rejection here, or this third rejection through here. So you live and learn, though. Should have followed the rules a little bit more strictly, but still made a heap on this trade, so can't complain too much, and have also hedged through here pretty nicely. So made a little bit back, didn't really give up all those gains, but that's part of the game. So stop losses well in profit. Just waiting for this to either bounce here and give us a little bit of a reversal, or maybe take it off back here, or start to take off 25% soon until that trade is closed out completely. Yeah, so really the most bullish chart at the moment is actually Ethereum, to be honest. And it's going to be interesting to see if this can continue to hold. It's reclaimed the VWAP here. So if we can hold that VWAP and then start to push, I really could see it start to get a bit more momentum, swing back up to previous year value area high if this can play out as a bull flag. But it's going to need some assistance from Bitcoin, which looks pretty average right now, to be honest. So let's see that and how this ends up playing out. But if we can hold these order blocks, like in the daily time frame, if we can hold this order block through here, then and really realistically, if we can just reset our momentum indicators, and this holds through here, and we just flag out for a little bit and then form some sort of like a bullish structure here, like an ascending triangle or something like that, that can end up being pretty nice for a continuation move. But we have had a really strong rally through here. If we go and look at the weekly time frame, I had I think it was 8 weeks in a row. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 weeks in a row. This would have been the 8th week. 7 weeks in a row, green. So we're having a little bit of a pullback now and correction just to stabilize that a little bit. But it doesn't look like we're going to be getting out anytime soon, because this looks like a really solid weekly reversal setup at the moment, which does sort of, being the end of May is not really a great signal for continuation. But we have to wait and see what we end up getting in June. From memory, the monthly wasn't too horrific. It could be better. It's sort of like, looks like we're losing momentum a little bit. So we're going to have to wait and see what we end up getting in June. But I'm not loving this price action at the moment. And I think it is a really good idea to start behaving a little bit more defensively through here. We'll probably end up getting a swing back up to the all-time high through here anyway. So I have to wait and see how this goes. But the most bullish structure from here would be some sort of, bull flag through there and holding above this order block. We start to drop that, and trading below it for too long, and we start to drop the value area high. Yeah, look out below, because it's going to pull back pretty nicely, and, that's probably going to end up pulling back to about 94, 95K and come back to that VWAP and tag some of the structure through here. And if that does happen, alts will hurt really badly. But we have had a really nice push. It was a 46% move to the upside. Maybe we need to be looking at Fibonacci of this up move that we just had, and be looking for some optimal entries. You know, a full retrace down to the 618 is coming all the way back to 88. Not sure we'll get that deep. I just think there's too much buying going on. I think there's too much demand. It's too obvious of a trade setup at the moment, but I could see worst case scenario coming back to 93.7. So let's see what we end up getting. I'd love it to play out more bullish, to hold the value area high, stay above 100K, and just have more of like a sideways, quite bullish grind. And then retest the all-time highs a few times, and we finally break out, and then we run into our macro fib target up here at 137K. So thanks a lot for tuning in, guys. We'll see you all in the next video.